Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Anna, and I have here Jimmy with me. We are representatives from two universities in Canada, and we are here to talk with you about how it will feel and look like when you become a student or where you're looking to become a student in Canada. So I work as an international admissions and recruitment officer at Carleton University. And I do travel a little bit and speak to students, but then also I go back to the office and I review applications. So I can answer a lot of questions about your particular cases. And I'm going to let Jimmy introduce himself.
Thank you, Anna. So my name is Jimmy Helmbach. I'm the Regional Operations Manager for the Middle East and South Asia. Very similar to Anna, I do travel quite a bit when things are open, at least, and we're not in a pandemic, and also adjudicate applications, specifically the Indian board curriculum. So that's me, and we're located in Ontario, both of us. We're in the city of Guelph, which is a smaller suburban area to Toronto with 135,000 people. With that being said, let's kick it off, and I'll pass it over to Anna.
Yeah, thank you. So Carleton University is actually also in the province of Ontario, but in the city of Ottawa. And city of Ottawa, as you may know, is quite important because it is the capital of Canada. And this would be kind of my first point when you think about Canadian education, that we are, as universities, are quite different in where we are located and how big we are. And this is something that you need to consider when you're choosing your destination to study. So even looking at Guelph and Carleton, you will see that we are in different cities. Our cities are different by size. Our universities are different by size. And as a student, you will have to think what fits better for you. What are you looking in your education? Do you want to be in a big, bustling city with everything happening, lots of things to do, or do you want to be in a smaller city, smaller community, but still with a lot of options to go to maybe a nearby big city, or to participate in the events and have kind of more of a smaller community feel? And the same goes for universities. So when you think about Canadian education system, you're looking at a very big country with not so many post-secondary institutions when you think about it. We have just about less than 100 universities in all of our provinces and territories, and about over 125 colleges. So lots of opportunities for students, but we're kind of spread around. In the province of Ontario, where Carleton University and University of Guelph are, there are 24 universities, so still lots of choices. The universities in Canada are divided into three categories. So primary universities or teaching universities, those are smaller schools between 1 to 8,000 students. Then there are comprehensive universities, kind of range between 10 to about 30, 40, 50, sometimes 1,000 students. And then there are professional universities that have the professional schools like medical schools or law schools attached to them. Those range between 60 to 90,000 students. So it's kind of a whole city in that university. So of course, the experience that you will receive in those schools will be very different as a student. How big is the school? Do you have several campuses to travel between? Are those campuses in the same cities, or maybe they're in different cities? Or are you looking for a smaller, very kind of family, close-knit like community in a smaller university? Or do you want both? So it's really important for you to think about those things and look at each institution that you're considering individually and decide what feels best for you. Of course, the quality of education that you're looking at all of those schools will be absolutely the same. High quality, internationally recognized degrees, and a lot of co-op opportunities. So opportunities to get experiential learning component with your degree. Another thing that we would like to point out to students that there is a very huge level of flexibility with your degrees. You can do majors and minors, you can double major. It's very easy to change the program if you start with something and then decide, well, this is not the angle of business that I liked. I want to switch from to something else. It's easy to do. Sometimes students change their mind altogether. They start with science and then they move to journalism or they move to computer science. So it's very possible and it's okay to change your mind. In fact, I am always amazed when students tell me I know exactly what I want to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was graduating from high school. So I kind of switched several programs until I landed into something that I really liked. The big thing for Canadian education is interdisciplinary approach. So in any degree in the structure, you will see that about 60 to 70% of all coursework will be dedicated to that specific title, the discipline, the subject area that you have chosen. So if it's marketing, about 60% of courses will be marketing, but the rest of the degree will be something else. It could be a related discipline or it could be anything else. So allows you freedom to choose your other components of your degree to kind of open up more doors to different angles of the industry or try different things. So, a lot of students around the world, and we have here a little bit of statistics, 96% of international students recommend Canada as a study destination. And that's very true because there are so many different points that are so good about Canada, from opportunities, what to study, how to study, where to study, move from one school to another, move from one program to another, and also a lot of opportunities to pursue experiential learning. And I'm going to let Jimmy talk about that.
Perfect. Thank you, Anna. I'll mention a couple of things before I go into the experiential learning as well. We're talking about advanced standing. That's something that you can anticipate if you're doing IB, AP, A levels, et cetera, et cetera. That's something that we are looking at for you to save a little bit of time in your studies. Um, in terms of open to international students, that's definitely something that we are. There are many different pathways for students to get into academically, but also professionally down the line, and also with the postgraduate work permit that I'm going to mention in a little bit. Experiential education, though, is one of the key components in Canadian higher education. We are a world leader in co-op education, as you can tell. It is a great opportunity for students, and for those of you who are not familiar with co-op, it is work terms that are embedded into the students' programs. It might take anywhere from 4 to 5 years to complete, but it normally comes with a good salary, but also a resume that you will work on throughout your degree. The programs are going to look a little bit different depending on which university that you are looking into. Some of them are going to ask you to apply to co-op already in the application process when you apply to the university. And at other universities, you can jump on the co-op as you are a current student and you apply to it as a current student. So that's something for you to pay attention to when you're looking at your different options. Internships, field placements, there are many different variants of experiential learning. Internships can be quite similar to co-op at certain institutions. There are certain nuances between the two at times, but not always. Obviously, internships can be non-paid. Co-op tends to be paid most of the time. So that's something to definitely keep in mind. The experiential education, study abroad, exchange, I think that's pretty generic over the board as well. That is a good opportunity for you. For international applicants, keep in mind that there are no quotas unless there are professional programs that you're going to go into. I can give an example. Veterinary medicine is a strong program at the University of Guelph, and we only take in 15 students, international students per year as an idea, but that is a professional program. If you're going into a regular undergraduate program, there are no quotas. I'm going to mention the 3-year postgraduate work permit as well. Definitely something that a lot of students are looking into. If you are going to be strategic and stay for 3 years after your graduation, I do highly recommend that you work on your resume throughout your bachelor, whether it is through co-op, whether it's through internship, work study, whatever it might be that is going to build that resume for you. It's important to connect with the community and get a good idea of what to expect in the future. But I'll talk more about that here when we're talking about why Canada. High quality you can anticipate. Anna mentioned that there's a small number of universities in Canada, barely 100 of them, mainly public institutions, which means that they are well equipped and they are giving you internationally recognized degrees. The flexibility of studies, don't have to mention too much about that. I think that Anna mentioned that perfectly when she went through that as well. Affordable is definitely something to look into. The studies range from, it can be anywhere from maybe 15, 20,000 a year, all the way up to maybe 60,000, depending on which university you're looking at. But it is Canadian dollars. It is a little bit more affordable for students, for sure. The co-op experiential learning, once again, is one of the key components. You will, in those programs, have these experiential learning opportunities where you can work at 2, maybe even 3 different employers and gain experience through the experiential learning. So you can apply what you actually learn in the classroom. Don't feel limited to do co-ops close to where you are studying. You can work all over Canada or even internationally if possible. May not be the best choice for you if you're looking at staying in Canada afterwards, but there's a lot of flexibility within a program like that. You will also have a co-op coordinator normally at the university that is working with you inside those programs. So you get a lot of guidance and coaching when you're going through the experiential learning. Employment opportunities during and after studies. This for me is one of the key things, especially as an international student, when you don't really have a great understanding about Canada as a whole, but also the job market. I think it's really important to get into the job market as soon as possible, maybe not during the first year. I think it's good to spend the first year and really lay the foundation, making friends, making sure that you are very familiar with the educational structure that you're in, because it might differ quite a bit from what you're used to. But once you have the lay of the land and understand that, then you can start branching out. Something that you should keep in mind that in Canada, you are allowed to work 20 hours a week during the regular academic semesters, and you can work full-time when you are on holidays. So with that being said, that means that you're gonna have great opportunities to gain experience and gain that understanding of Canada and what it means to work in the Canadian market. So those are some of the employment opportunities during, and obviously when you have that type of experience, if you're looking at the 3-year postgraduate work permit afterwards, there are some great opportunities for you. Some connections you already have in the community because you've had co-ops, you've done work with them, so they might employ you after graduation. But I think that you also need to keep in mind that certain jobs that in your current context might not be very attractive can actually be quite attractive in Canada. I'll give a brief example of that. If you work at a restaurant, for example, that's something in an Indian market is not very attractive, but in Canada, that can actually produce quite a bit of revenue, but also teach you the soft skills that are so important to get employed: communication skills, leadership skills, management skills as you progress within that area. So University of Guelph has a great community that you can get into and really get that type of experience. I'll pass over to Anna briefly so she can talk about Ottawa as well, what to expect in a big city context compared to Guelph.
Thank you. Yeah, so Ottawa, being the capital of Canada, is big city, but it's not the biggest city in Canada as well. So we are about 1 million people right now, with all kind of surrounding little satellite cities. So the proper core of Ottawa is about 300,000 people actually, and that's where university is. It's very old. It does have the feel still a very close knit community because being in downtown core, you still have an opportunity to walk from your campus all the way to downtown within 20 to 30 minutes, or you can take public transportation. And by the way, those fees are typically built into your tuition, so you do not need to worry about that. So you just kind of move around your city easily. But of course, as being a capital and being home to all levels of government and having, hosting all embassies and consulates, it's busy. Every weekend has something going on. It's either social or cultural events that presented by the embassy or consulate. There are a lot of festivals happening. And for students, that means that you can either go and entertain, and of course, that's completely fine. That's great. But also you can pursue either volunteer opportunity, also a great way to build up your resume. So you just join some kind of organization or festival and you build up those soft skills, communication skills and problem solving through that. Or you apply for, perhaps a part-time job to support that event, which gives you opportunity to develop network, to develop skills, but also earn some money. So lots of opportunities for that in Ottawa. And when it comes to co-op, also for Ottawa specifically being a big city, a lot of opportunities for students to pursue co-op without having to leave the city. So you can continue to live in residence, kind of be in Ottawa, stay with your friends, but work in whatever company, whatever industry you are in, still stay in Ottawa, but it's not required. Just as Jimmy said, it could be anywhere in Canada, or you can go internationally as well.
Perfect. And as an example, we have a student at University of Guelph in the computer science program who's working at Nokia in Ottawa. So that's just an example. So with that being said, I think that we're reaching the end of the presentation. I think we're pretty much on time. So with that being said, I don't think there are any questions. Are there any questions? None? Perfect. Well, if there are no questions, I thank you very much, and Ed Brand, for having us for the presentation. And yeah, Anna.
Yeah, thank you very much for attending. I think we're going to throw in our email addresses in the chat just in case people think of something to ask, because I believe the fair is almost over as well, which means that you can't really just kind of jump back into our rooms to ask us questions. It's just going to slow down here and close. So if you have any questions for us, reach out through the email. We're absolutely happy to answer your questions.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Anna. It was a great session. Thanks for putting your emails there. I'm sure people will be reaching out.
Excellent. Have a great evening, everyone.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night. Bye bye.
Bye.